Welcome to another episode of Star Wars Talk. I'm John Berry, and today I'm reviewing the most recent episode of Star Wars Resistance. That would be The Disappeared, is the most recent episode. Before I continue, I do want to let you know you may be hearing some wind in the background. It's extremely windy where I am, and my microphone might be picking that up. I will have done some noise reduction as I have learned how to do with my audio, but it won't catch everything, so if you hear some wind, that's what's going on. You may not even be able to hear it, I don't know. I just want to give you a forewarning. So the episode itself. It's an interesting episode, and this may be considered spoilerish, but this is the first episode that truly ends on a cliffhanger, because the character is at a down point, like hanging off a cliff, and we don't know what's going to happen yet. Of course, Kaz isn't hanging off a cliff. So he did hang off the station in the episode. But that's just besides the point. This is a nice cliffhanger. It really shows that this show is more than just an episodic show. It's telling a story. And I really like that. This second half of the series has been so much better than the first half. I gotta say, much better. Stories are more interconnected and we're building off of stuff. So yeah. So in the episodes, the First Order is essentially arresting residents of the Colossus who are outspoken against the First Order in some form, whether it's actual outspoken protesting or if it's just disrespectful, even for momentarily. Like, they're just arresting people. And of course, trying to recruit as well. All that stuff. So, the two main characters that the First Order arrests are Hype Phazon and the character Aunt Z. I wonder if that's in any way an allusion to Aunt B from the Andy Griffin Show. Let me know what you think of that down there. I just realized that. But let's get back to the episode itself, shall we? So, they're arrested and if you just look at those two characters between Hype Phazon and Aunt Z, they both are reacting very differently to being captured. Aunt Z's continuing protesting the First Order, while Hype is just kind of cowering, not sure what to do, but it's not like he's given up, it's just like he doesn't want to do anything that can get him into more trouble. Which kind of makes sense based off of their personalities, because this Aunt Z, you can tell from her previous appearances, is an outspoken character. She speaks her mind, which they do establish in this episode. Though in previous episodes, this episode, which reestablishes is that Hype is, he's kind of bragging. He's very hyper. He likes to hype himself up and hype others up about himself. So he's not used to a situation where, he has to tone it down, and he just tones it completely down. Especially he's been put down in this episode per se. He's been lowered, his self-esteem has been lowered, and he doesn't seem to know how to react to it. But at the end of the episode, we do see him regain his confidence, if you will. So, which I thought was pretty neat to see, the contrast between the two characters. Also in this episode, Kaz and Tora go to rescue them, and they do by helping them basically take over the First Order vessels so they can fly away to Takodana. And of course it's implied that Aunt Z knows Maz. So the question is, are they going to get there before The Force Awakens or after The Force Awakens? Because we know what happens to Maz's castle in The Force Awakens. So, it's hard to say. We're still before Starkiller Base fires and destroys Hosnian Prime. So, it remains to be seen, but I'm curious. I am honestly curious. And there's many other things to talk about in this episode, but yeah. Kaz and Tora rescue them, and of course they make sure the First Order doesn't spot them. But I'm not so sure about that. I also was expecting, because there was one at the end of the rescue, they are now leaving the area where the ship was departing. The camera pans up, I was half expecting to see a First Order probe droid. There wasn't any, but I would have loved for there to be one. But at the same time, I do kind of like how there wasn't one, because they primed us to expect one, and there wasn't one, which is a really nice contrast. So yeah. And I should also state that, that when Tora tells Kaz that Hype is missing, they go search for her, then go back to the Eagle's repair shop, and of course the Eagle doesn't want to be disturbed, and then when he hears Kaz through his door, hear Kaz say that the First Order took Aunt Z and Hype, he opens the door and Kaz stumbles in, and of course Tora falls, and in there is Captain Doza talking with the Eagle. No, they're trying to find a way to get through the First Order communication blackout and get Resistance help. Which we know, if the Colossus is to free itself from the First Order, they will have to do it themselves. Because we know what happens to the Resistance in the movies. They're not getting any help. Well, maybe a member of Black Squadron could show up, since they were outgathering allies during The Last Jedi. That's... Oh, is it Black Squadron? Poe Dameron's Fighter Squadron, that's what I'm saying. So who knows for sure, but it's an intriguing principle. But what that scene also does, and I'm not the only person who's mentioned this, is that establishes that Yigo and Captain Doza know each other, and that at the very least, Captain Doza knows that Yigo was a part of the rebellion. And I think there's a good chance that Captain Doza knows, that Yigo knows Captain Doza was an Imperial. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a story between the two. No, maybe Yigo could be why Captain Doza is now part of the Empire, why he left the Empire, why he never joined the First Order. It'd be interesting to see. I have a feeling there is a story there, and I would really like to see it. I think that could make kind of an interesting book if they don't show it in the series. Because I want to see what that backstory for those two characters. Because I have the feeling that they are connected somehow. I just don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're connected. So yeah. And then, of course, now the end of the episode, which is probably the most interesting part of the episode. So Kaz returns to Yigo's repair shop, and there's a squad of First Order stormtroopers to arrest him and his friends there. I should mention that Tora goes back to the tower, I presume. And so I'm wondering, was there any First Orders there to arrest her? But I'm not quite as sure. Simply because Captain Payar, the First Order who's pretty much seems to be in charge of the operations on the Colossus, in the area of the Colossus, is at Yigo's repair shop, which implies that nobody's there to arrest Captain Doza's daughter, Tora, simply because I feel like arresting somebody that important to the captain of the Colossus, you kind of want you want muscle there, and not the troopers, but you want persuasive muscle, you want your leader. That's my opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised, So I wonder what's going on there as well. And I do wonder where it's going, but the question is, why is Kaz and his friends being arrested? That is the question. And it's a good question. Did they realize that, Kaz had broken into the, is a resistance spy? And of course his friends would be arrested for being accomplices, the stuff that totalitarian regimes do, just arrest the culprit and their entire family and friend circle. Just because, why not? They don't have their own lives to worry about, and who cares about freedom? That is how totalitarians in the First Order think. Think about that. So, why are they arresting him? Is it because they know he's a First Order, a resistance spy? Did they, catch that? Did they recognize him from when he and Poe were on board Station Theta Black? did they recognize the fireball from the incident in the previous episode? Which could make some sense. Those are about the two main things where the First Order could have gotten a positive lock, or even on him to connect him, or even in the episode of The New Trooper, even there, because once they realize that, somebody was impersonating that one trooper. It makes you wonder, and I do wonder why. Oh, did someone tip them off that he and Tora were going to rescue the prisoners? In all honesty, it could be all of them or none of them. Because they know his full name, whatever his real name is, I can't remember. So that probably means they know he was part of the New Republic Navy. Maybe that's why they're arresting him, thinking he is a spy. Who knows for sure? I feel there's plenty of open-ended questions, and I think we'll find out in the next episode. I so badly wanted Cass to say either two things. One, why? What's the charge? Or two, just to snap your attention and give his name, rank, and serial number. Because he was part of the New Republic Navy, or stuff like, or whatever it's called. And he is part of the Resistance, so he would have a military rank and serial number, so he could get a name, rank, and serial number. I would have loved to see that. That could have been some gold mine for comedy. But that's not the direction they chose. They chose a pure cliffhanger, which I think is probably the best. And because it gets us thinking and speculating. There's so much more to talk about, but I'm not going to get too far into the speculation, but this episode does pose so many questions and speculation. So I just want to leave you with this. Did someone tip the First Order off to Kaz and Tora rescuing Aunt Z and Hype? Who was it? If they were tipped off. I am thinking that if they were tipped off, the only character who could have possibly tipped them off and would have had reason to tip them off, because I don't think Captain Dozer had reason to tip the First Order off, because first, even if he disapproved, he probably would not want to get his daughter in trouble with the First Order. And we know it's not Yeager, we know it's not Bucket, we know it's not CB, and we know it's not Kaz and Tora, so that, and we know it's not, it's not... Wait, why I can't remember his name? Niku. It's not Niku. The only person who would have known would have been Tam. And we also know she has First Order and even Imperial sympathies. So it's possible. She's the only character who has a reason, who has any kind of motivation to tip them off. Because Niku doesn't even know they're up to something nefarious. And everyone else is in on conspiring against the First Order. Has to be Tam. So the question is, how would that unfold if it is Tam? I honestly don't know. I could be wrong for all I know. It's just the only conclusion I can think of besides maybe an Imperial... And that's not an Imperial. The First Order has listening devices over the Colossus. Who knows? So it remains to be seen. We'll find out next week. So thank you for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment down below. What did you think of this episode? And what do you think this episode says about Star Wars Resistance going forward and the direction they're taking? Where you think the plot will lead? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear from you. I honestly do. I want to open a conversation. Also, please subscribe to this channel for future Star Wars content and much more. And ring the bell if you actually want YouTube to notify you when I upload new content. So, thank you for watching. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.